everybody, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to Rachel's Reading, and today I'm going to be doing my first ever book haul. So because I am a student and I have a part-time job, that money does not necessarily go to books for me. It goes to other things like gas for my car and insurance. So I'm not a big book buyer. I use my library constantly. And you know, things like Scribd and library sales. My library does sales like 2 or 3 times every month where books are like 75 cents to $2. It depends on, you know, if it's hardback, paperback, how good condition it's in, how popular it is. And also, there was recently an event that my town does every year where it's essentially this giant town-wide rummage sale, and basically the weeks leading up to it, everybody brings their old crap to the middle school in my town, and everybody, you know, you set it up, people line up at like 5:30 in the morning for it to open at 8 and just run for this stuff. And I know that it sounds really weird for somebody that doesn't live where I live, but it's a really popular thing, and my favorite part about it is that they turn the gym of this school and just fill it with books. The entire place is just packed with books that people have donated. So you bet your ass I was there at 6 a.m. to line up, and I ran to the gym and I got, this is full. So I believe there are about 15 or 14 books here, and I spent about $15 or $14. So each of these books averages out to about $1. However, some of them were cheaper. I got 3 from a library sale. The rest of these, they have a deal where it's like, take a paper bag, put as many books in it as you want, and it's $12. So I'm going to be starting with the books that I got from the library sale, and the first one that I got is something I've actually already finished. I finished it last night, and that is No Exit by Taylor Adams. So this is an adult thriller about this girl named Darby who is trying to drive home from her college, CU Boulder, to see her mom, who has recently been diagnosed with really bad cancer, and she is going into surgery. So on her way trying to get home, she gets hit with this giant snowstorm. She gets snowed into this rest stop kind of in the middle of nowhere, and she is snowed in with this group of 4 other people who turn out to be a little bit shady, as when she goes outside to her car, she notices in one of the other vans that there is a little girl locked in a dog cage in one of the vans. So obviously she realizes that at least one of these people in this rest stop are extremely dangerous. There is no cell service, and it is just her trying to survive until the snowplow and the police can get there. I actually liked this book quite a bit. I thought it was quite like suspenseful. I read it basically the entire thing on the plane. I was traveling home from my vacation in Canada, and I read this basically all on the plane. I finished up the last little bit of it last night, but yeah, very thrilling. I don't really know how to do book hauls because I don't have any thoughts about any of these books. I barely even know what they're about, and I'm just kind of struggling. This is not going to be very good. I'm also not back in the swing of making videos yet. I've been off for like 3 weeks. So the next book that I picked up from the library is In a Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. I have not read a Ruth Ware yet. However, I am very excited to start reading this and start reading her other books because I've heard that they are really good, and she's a really fantastic thriller mystery author. So I don't know too much about this. It is, from what I understand, like these 2 girls who haven't talked in a really long time. They used to be friends when they were in school, and all of a sudden, like years and years later, one of them gets an invitation to the other's, I believe, like bachelorette party type thing, and hijinks and mystery ensues. I think the thing I'm most excited for is I've heard that Ruth Ware writes really good plot twists, and for me that's really what makes a thriller, is good plot twists, and so I'm super excited to get to this soon. So the last book that I bought from the library sale was Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I know that this has been turned into a TV series, and Stephen King blurbed it, so it has to be good, right? From what I understand, I believe this is sort of like a domestic thriller about a bunch of moms with like elementary school aged kids, and just kind of like scandal and all this kind of stuff that kind of ensues in their life. I'm actually really excited to read this because I don't know why, but the concept of just like these really rich moms just like fighting with each other is really funny to me, and I think that I might be able to relate to it a little bit because the moms in my town are quite petty, and I think that I might be able to relate to this just a little bit because of that. Obviously not like murder and mystery, but like if you don't bring gluten-free brownies to the PTO meeting, you're gonna get shunned. Okay, so moving on to the big boy. I'm just gonna start grabbing whatever. There's no rhyme or reason to this. It's just all things that I snatched off the shelves. The first book is probably one of the most, like, the one that I'm most excited for, and that is Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This edition does not show up well on camera, but it's so beautiful. It's like gold foiled with the helmet, and I have heard people just raving and raving and raving about this. I'm going to be reading it next month for the Newts Readathon. My TBR should be up probably the video after this, and I believe that this is just essentially the story of Achilles from the Greek myths. I was absolutely obsessed with Greek mythology when I was in like 4th to 6th grade, like when I first read Percy Jackson. You know, I was one of those kids. And I'm still am really interested in it, obviously not like as much as crazy 5th grade Rachel was. However, just the idea of reading like an adult book about Greek mythology but fictionalized makes me really, really excited, and I've heard so many people rave about this, that it makes them cry, and that it's just so fantastic. And I've never read a Madeline Miller before, but knowing that she also wrote Circe, which is another Greek myth, I am really excited to get into her writing. The next book that I picked up is Ruined by Amy Tintera. I believe this is a YA fantasy. I don't know that much about it. I'm pretty sure it's just kind of a generic YA fantasy, but if I'm honest, I have not been reading enough YA fantasy. I consider fantasy to be one of my favorite genres, yet for some reason lately I've been reading hardly any of it, and so I figured this looks like a just really quick read for a nice fun like light fantasy. I believe that this is kind of like a revenge plot book. I believe that the main character, her parents get murdered and then her best friend gets kidnapped, so she goes on kind of this like revenge spree, and part of this is about, I believe, her getting married off to this like royalty whatever, and you know, betraying him, and I'm kind of pumped for this. I like a good revenge story, and yes, this is possibly going to be on my TBR for next month, but I'm not positive yet. The next one is Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. If you somehow are unaware of this, it was just adapted into a movie. So this is about this girl named Rachel Chu, nice name, who is with her boyfriend Nicholas, and they are spending the summer together, and he wants her to go back to Singapore to meet his family, but what she does not know is they are one of the richest families in Singapore, and she needs to kind of prepare for that, and you know, rich people problems, you know, like rich things ensue. I've heard that the best part about these books is it is a trilogy, is that they are just so gaudy and over the top with all of, you know, the richness of it all, and I'm really excited to be able to like get lost in a world of like riches. I think that it would be really fun. I've heard that it's really funny and just very, it's a fun light read, and I am excited. I was also waiting to watch the movie until I read the book, and so maybe now that I have my hands on it, I will actually watch the movie soon because I've heard it's really good. So the next book that I picked up, I believe, is the only classic in this haul, and that is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. This is a bind-up of the two stories, and I'm really excited about this because I have not read Alice in Wonderland. However, I loved the movies, I loved the cartoon when I was a kid, and I love the Johnny Depp version when it came out when I got a little bit older, and I am super, super excited to read this. One of my favorite parts about this edition is there are like illustrations in it. I believe this is the Barnes & Noble Classic Edition, and I love these editions so much. I think they're so beautiful. My local Barnes & Noble, whenever I walk in, they just have this huge wall of them, and I get so sucked in. Never bought one, and I'm very excited to own this. And I really like that this is a bind-up, so I can read both of the stories and kind of like fulfill my childhood, you know? Right? I lied. It was not the only classic. I got one more, and that is a copy of Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. I mostly picked this up because this was in like absolutely fantastic condition. Like it's literally brand new. There's still a tag on the back. Or like a price sticker. But I read this this past school year for my English class, and I actually really loved it. So basically this book is about this guy who is named Billy Pilgrim, and the story bounces between his experiences in the war and him kind of... This book is so hard to explain. He kind of time travels and visits aliens. I really have no way to describe this. It's really weird, but it's really good. Yeah, basically aliens. The next book is Unwind by Neal Shusterman. Now, I don't know if this is a middle grade or a young adult, but I do remember that when I was in middle school, everybody in my grade was obsessed with this book. At the time, I did not like the cover. I thought it was scary. I like to just stick to my Sarah Dessen romances. But now that I am a little bit older, I am actually really excited to read this. I didn't really know what it was about until like a couple weeks ago when somebody explained it to me, and I think that it's really interesting and would kind of be a good book to read right now because of the political issues that are happening, because this book is about how instead of having an abortion when your kids grow up and become like between the ages of 13 and 18, you can unwind them, which is basically, I think, killing them. So I think that that's really interesting, and I know obviously... When did this get published? This was published in 2007, and although that's not that long ago, I'd like to see kind of how it like aged with the abortion issues that are happening, at least in America currently. So I'm super excited to read this. I never thought that I would. I don't know why. I think that it's just because 13-year-old me was just very skeptical, and I liked my Sarah Dessen, and I didn't want anything to do with this creepy stuff, but yeah. And I've never actually read Neal Shusterman before, so I'm excited for this one. Okay, so, listen, I can explain. So I got the selection by Kirkas, and I got it because I kind of feel left out. I know that this is not good, objectively, and I know that a lot of people hate it, but I also know that a lot of people say that this is like addicting, like reality TV, like The Bachelorette or like Love Island or whatever, and I sometimes am just in the mood to sit down and read something trashy that I can just enjoy for the sake of enjoying it. And I don't know, I might absolutely hate it, it might drive me fucking crazy, I don't know, but I feel like I can't go through my life without reading the selection, and I might not continue with the series, like, I don't know, and I also don't know why I'm trying to justify this, like, if I want to read something I can read it. I just think it's kind of funny. I don't know, I saw it and I was like, you know what, I think this is God telling me that, like, you need to read some trashy YA sometimes, and that's okay, you know? So, I got this. I believe that it is sort of like The Bachelorette, where, like, a bunch of these girls in pretty dresses compete for the love of this one prince, I think. I also believe it features the trope of, I'm not like other girls, I don't like to wear dresses, and I don't want to marry a prince, and blah 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 blah. So that might drive me crazy, but I don't know, I'm kind of really excited to get to this, honestly. We've got 4 books left, we're almost done. The next one I got is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. I have not read a Celeste Ng yet, but however, her book Little Fires Everywhere is on my Reading Rush TBR, which is going on, I believe, when I'm going to upload this video. But I believe this is her first novel, or at least it came before Little Fires Everywhere. It is, I believe, about this Chinese-American family in the 70s, and one of their daughters die, and it's kind of just, you know, really family-oriented and dealing with grief, and it's really short, but I feel like it's definitely going to pack a punch. I don't read a lot of contemporaries, but I've been trying to kind of get better about that, because not all of them are just, you know, stupid, cheesy stuff, and sometimes you need to be just sad, I guess. I do avoid a lot of contemporaries solely because of the fact that I don't like getting sad when I read books, but I feel like I'm just missing out on so much that I would like to dive into some more serious contemporaries like this, and I feel like this is a good place to start because it is really short and I've heard nothing but good things about this. So when I said Song of Achilles was the one that I was most excited for, I think that it's a tie with that and The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I cannot believe that I found a copy of this at the rummage sale. I was so shook and I immediately just like snatched it, and this is my child now. I haven't even read it, but I know that it's my child. I am the father and I'm so excited to read this. What am I saying? This is a like dark academia about these group of university students who are like studying the like dead languages or something like Latin, and are just really stuck up and pretentious, and I think it's like a murder mystery as well. I don't really know much about it. All I know is that Leo Reeds is like in love with it, and I trust her opinion on literally everything she does. And I'm here for like a dark academia. I feel like that setting is just one of my favorites. I love it so, so much, and I am so beyond excited to get to this. I am so blown away that I found a copy of this, and it's like in pretty good condition too. That's something I really love about not only my library sale but also this rummage sale thing, is that almost all of the books I picked up are like in fantastic condition, and I'm kind of shook by it, but it's so, so nice. So the second to last book that I got is Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. This has been sold to me as like a YA version of Game of Thrones. It's a fantasy series that I believe is just about like a bunch of battling kingdoms. I think that there are a lot of different perspectives. I don't know too much about it. I kind of like to keep it that way. I don't know. This is something I've been wanting to read for a while, and then I kind of wasn't hearing a lot of hype about it, so I definitely pushed it back on my TBR. But I've started to hear a couple of people kind of talking about it again, and when I saw this, I was like, you know what, like, I should go for it. If I don't like it, then I can unhaul it. But I'm kind of excited for this. Again, I really want to get back into reading more fantasy. And the last book that I have for you guys is something that I've actually already read, but do not have a copy of, and that is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. Now, Cassie Clare, we all know she's like my favorite author of all time, except for Stephen King. And this is the first book in the Dark Artifice series. I just didn't have a copy of this, and honestly, the thing that drew me to it is the fact that it is literally brand new. Like, it is in beautiful, beautiful condition, and I couldn't pass up a Cassie Clare book that I don't have. Yeah, so if you don't know, this is, you don't know, I don't know how you don't, but Shadowhunters. That's basically it. Alright, that was my ridiculously large book haul, but I don't feel bad about it because I only spent like $15 on all of those in total, which I think is really, really, really good because I don't have money to throw away on books all the time. Not that it's throwing it away, but you know what I mean. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm sorry about the dogs barking in the background, but I don't have another time to film. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another video.